So I just watched Dune Part 1, and I gotta say, I really do think it's Star Wars meets Lord of the Rings. Let's discuss it. So, before I continue, huge spoiler warning. Spoilers out the ass. I'm spoiling everything in this movie. I'm gonna talk about deaths, plot, surprises, everything. So if you haven't seen this movie, please, I do implore you to go watch the film. My spoiler-free review is that I thoroughly enjoyed the movie. I don't know if I quite loved it, but objectively, I think it was really well made, and you should see it. Alright, from this moment forward, spoilers. Now, I can really see why some people won't like this movie. This movie is a slow burn. It's a very slow, methodically paced movie, and it's very slow and dense. There's a lot of walking around and talking and information given to the audience. Not a ton of exciting things happen. A few action scenes do happen, but for the most part, it's a lot of world building. It's a lot of information to soak up. And I know for some people that will be very boring, especially if you're not into this kind of world. If you don't buy into the characters, into the lore they're giving you, yeah, I can see how you would hate this movie. I'm not saying you're stupid or you can't understand these concepts if you didn't like it. I'm just saying that I do understand if you thought it was boring. Me personally, I was all the way in. I really adored the world and the lore that they gave us. And I knew next to nothing about the story going in. I didn't see the movie, I haven't read the books. All I knew is that there's some sand, there are people and worms. I basically knew nothing. So I had no prior connection to these characters. So I'm coming in almost blind. I knew none of the characters, I didn't know their powers, I didn't know the lore, I didn't know anything about these different species or these planets. And I gotta tell you, I really enjoyed this movie. To be honest, I wasn't really into it at first. The first 5, 10, 15 minutes, I was like, I'm not really seeing what people are saying, this is kind of boring, I'm just not connecting with the world. But the more that it went on, and the more time I spent there learning the information about the characters and the world, the more I enjoyed it. I started liking this movie more and more each scene. Until the last 15 to 20 minutes, but we'll get to that. The cinematography in this movie, it was spectacular. Absolutely spectacular. I'm so glad that this guy is the guy shooting the Batman. Oh man, every single frame of this movie, whether it's a blade of grass, or a spaceship, or a puddle of water, or a character in the frame, oh my, every single scene was dripping, teeming with life and beauty. Just the way he framed the huge spaceships was awe-inspiring. He didn't have them zooming around a bunch, shooting laser beams. It would cut to them in a stationary shot. And the way that they were placed, and the way that the CGI looked on them, and the way that they were sitting in the frame, it's like they were a character themselves. The sheer size and scale of these spaceships, and these buildings, and these dunes really made you feel how small the characters were. And those characters, I really liked the majority of them. I gotta say, Paul and his two parents were probably the standouts for me. I wasn't sure how much I would like Timothée Chalamet in this role, but I gotta say, he kind of killed it. It's nothing new, but I really loved Paul's inner conflict of being the heir to this family and having all of that pressure on him. And Josh Brolin wants to train him. He's not in the mood. His mom is trying to train him at the dinner table. He's not in the mood. He just woke up. And you really feel that he wants to go on his own path. And he's not sure if he's going to be what his father wants him to be. He's still growing up into being a man. And I liked his struggle, not knowing what he wants to be, having all this pressure on him, having to go mine the spice and knowing how to deal with other planets and learning the machinations of the political scheme and trying to have a relationship with his friends and his father and his mom and what not to do and what to do. He's getting all these visions. What do the visions mean? I really loved the weight that was on Paul's shoulders and the way that Timothée Chalamet dealt with that weight. And I really liked how he had two different relationships with each of his parents. His dad was all about honor and duty. And even though he's the heir to their empire and he's an important cog in the machine, it didn't feel like he viewed him as just that. It really felt like he loved him as his son. I love that moment when he was like, "Dad, what if I'm not what you want me to be? What if I can't live up to this?" And he says, "You'll be the one thing I've always wanted you to be, my son." I loved Oscar Isaac in this role and his relationship with Timothée Chalamet. And there's also that part where Thufir tries to quit because he feels like he dishonored himself and he failed them. But Oscar Isaac's like, "Bitch, you ain't quitting. They just tried to kill my son. If you want retribution, go find me some spies." I liked it, man. I really liked Oscar Isaac in this role. It's a shame that he died. Didn't know that was gonna happen. That was kind of saddening. We'll get to that. But yeah, his relationship with his son, I dug it. Now his mom, Lady Jessica, I really liked her in the role. I thought she was really good. But as a person, I'm not really sure if I like her. It's hard to tell if she really loves him like she says, or like she thinks, or like Oscar Isaac loves him, or if she just loves him because she's trying to fulfill some prophecy. It's revealed that her and her people have been kind of mating with people to try and create the one and fulfill some prophecy about the chosen one. So much like Paul, we're questioning her motives if she just is using him the way she's constantly training him and getting onto him about harnessing his powers. Is she just using him because she wants to fulfill the prophecy of the one? Or does she really love him as her son? I still don't know yet, and I don't know if I really like her. Through the movie, I kind of hated her face and kind of wanted her to die. Now maybe it'll be revealed later on in the other movie that she does love him, but I kind of got the feeling that she was just using him. I don't know. Is it just me? But yeah, no matter what I thought about her, her performance was really good. They were three of the main characters of the movie, and they were really, really good. And you know what? Jason Momoa was actually good in this movie. I didn't think he was gonna be good. I thought he would be the worst part of it. But you know what? He wasn't. I enjoyed him as Duncan, and I really liked his relationship with Paul. Whenever they saw each other, whenever they met up, you really felt that they had this bond, this connection. And he was one of the only characters that got some true emotion out of Paul. When he died, that was a good moment. He did the House Atreides thing. He fought the guys off, locked the door. Paul was screaming for him. It was a really, really good moment. Javier Bardem, Josh Brolin, Batista, they weren't really in it a lot, but they served their purpose and they were really good. I mean, Batista was okay, but Josh Brolin and Javier, they were really good. Zendaya, yeah, she was a non-factor. She was only in really 2 or 3 actual scenes outside of Visions. She was in the movie for maybe 15-20 minutes. She was a non-character. And my other standout was Harkonnen, that slimy, fat, evil son of a bitch. I really liked him. He wasn't in it as much as I thought he was gonna be. He's only really in it for 4 or 5 scenes for maybe 7 or 8 minutes, but he really made his presence known. Just the way he looks and the way he sounds and his presence when he floats up and his robe comes down and he's like 10 feet tall. You just look at him like, oh man, you really fear this guy. And I'm excited to see more of him in the next movie. I really like the politics of the world as well. All of the different families and planets and sectors and worlds, and there's an emperor over it all that we haven't met, and they're trying to mine the spice, and it's all about who can control the spice and who's in bed with who and who's in whose pocket, and we gotta come to this planet to do this, and you gotta watch out because there are political spies trying to murder us because they want the spice. The outsiders are coming to this world to harvest this spice, but the natives don't want them there. They feel like they're coming to overtake their land. There weren't a ton of politics. It's not really like Game of Thrones in space. Kind of, but there weren't as many politics as I thought there would be. But the politics that were there, I liked them. No matter who it was or what they did, You understood where everybody was coming from. And there was just a lot of layered character depth. It really does combine the best of both Star Wars and Lord of the Rings. It has that magic and space adventure of Star Wars, and the broad, deep adventure of Lord of the Rings. Man, I really like this world. Like I said before, there's a lot to take in. A lot of information is thrown at you, but I think they did it in a pretty good way. There are all kinds of powers and weird shit in this universe. You have people who can levitate, people who can mind read, people who can teleport information by rolling their eyes back, soldiers with holographic shields, primitive sand people, normal citizens, huge desert worms, spice, and it's a lot that's thrown at you, and it's a lot of information to unpack and process. But if you're okay with that, and you enjoy this type of world building, you'll really enjoy it like I did. I'm excited to see more of this world. I'm excited to expand on this because I still have so many questions about how the world works. I don't think 2.5 hours was enough time to even explain this world. They might need 3 movies. I don't know if 2 movies is gonna be enough. But they have really only scratched the surface with this universe. And I'm intrigued. And dude, Hans Zimmer absolutely killed it with his score. I think he's kind of been in his comfort zone lately with a lot of just but he really differentiated himself with this one. This is a score like he's never made before. And it really accented each scene. There was a different score and different sound for each planet, each house, each situation. And it felt like the music was alive. It was a character in itself. And damn, it helped the movie so much. I loved it. It wasn't his usual fare. He threw in different bagpipes and drums and flutes, and it was yeah, one of his best scores ever. Some of the biggest surprises of the movie for me, other than Jason Momoa's acting, were Leto's death, Duncan's death, the fact that the Emperor sent them there to die, and the fact that House Atreides is, they're fucked. They're gone. They're dead. I mean, I didn't expect his dad to stay around forever, and I knew he would probably die at some point so Paul could become the leader, but I didn't see it coming. Maybe I just didn't want it to happen. But halfway through the movie? Damn. I just really liked this character, and I didn't want to see him go. But how he went out was pimp. Plot twist. It turns out that the Emperor has made some sort of deal with the Harkonnen to let House Atreides take over Arrakis and the spice, but they sent them there to die. They sent them to fail. They set them up to wipe them out. I didn't see that coming. And when it was happening and all the ships came and they were destroying everybody and Josh Brolin went off to fight and everybody was dying and they shot Leto in the back and paralyzed him and the doctor turned on him, I was thinking, how is this happening? Why are there shields down? Why are there no guards on duty? How is this happening? Then it was revealed that the Doctor, Harkonnen, kidnapped the Doctor, that one guy, his wife, and he's gonna give her back if he helps him and lowers the shields and everything. So that answered that question. But I knew he wasn't gonna fucking give him his wife back. We all knew it when he was like, I've done your duty. Now you said you would give me my wife back. And he was like, I'll give you your wife back. I'll let you meet your wife. Cut his head off. We knew he was gonna kill him. But I was wondering, how did this happen? That's how it happened. Didn't like that it happened. I mean, it was good in the story, but just made me so sad. But it was awesome when Paul's dad bit down on that fake tooth the doctor gave him, and he spit the poison in Harkonnen's face and just wiped out the room full of people. Oh, dude, that was such a great moment. One of my favorite moments in the movie. One of the only moments that made me go, fuck yeah! The doctor sends Paul the ring, and now Paul is the head of House Atreides. Really good stuff, man. Even though I didn't want to see his dad die because I really liked Oscar Isaac in the role, man, I'm in this story. I'm fucking along for the ride, man. I'm engaged and compelled by the story and what's happening. I want to see what happens next. How's Paul gonna get out of the desert? Is he gonna get out of the desert? Is he a sand person now? Man, I'm in it. But it's not a perfect movie. Not at all. And I will tell you about all of the faults after I tell you about 2 more scenes that I loved. The hand in the box scene was just awesome. Paul is being tested by this old bitch. And he has to put his hand in this box. And he has to feel the pain of fire, of his hand burning off. And if he removes his hand, she will put a poison little needle in his neck and fucking kill him. So it's testing his courage and his resolve. Because if he couldn't do it, if he succumbs to his natural animalistic tendencies and removes his hand from the pain, he's clearly not the one. He's not ready to be a leader. And just the whole setup, the acting, the costumes, the room that they're in, the music, the sound design, it was a marvelous scene. I also really loved the spice harvesting scene. Paul and his dad are getting kind of a tour of the sand dunes, and they're seeing the salt being harvested up close and personal. They're inside of the cool Firefly ships with the wings. Love the set design, love the vehicles, just saying. And they see that a sandworm is about to come and eat the vehicle. So they have to act quick, and they have to decide what to do. This scene has character building. It has tension. It has a great atmosphere. It's well paced. The score is great. This scene encompasses why this movie is good. This scene has everything. There are 21 guys that they have to save, but they only have 3 ships who can carry 6 each. So they have to figure out, what do we dump? How do we do it? Can we get to them quick enough? Fuck, the sandworm's coming. It's getting closer. The tension's rising. Should we save the spice? How do we get them? Are they gonna get them in time? We don't know, but it's such a thrilling scene. And it sets up what kind of a leader Oscar Isaac is. He's not just a great leader, he's a great man. He says immediately, fuck that spice. We're getting my men out of there alive. Oh, loved his character, loved this scene. Now, the negatives of the film. Man, this action was bland. I know the story in the movie isn't about the action, it's not about the explosions and the fighting. The action and the explosions and the sword fighting, it's all just a vehicle to get characters from one place to another, and it just accents the story. The movie's not about the action, but damn, it was so generic, so PG-13. Just the way it was handled, it was very Christopher Nolan-esque. Great story, incredible story, great visuals, but the action was just, it was like TV action, just wasn't good. And when they were fighting each other, their shields, even though I like them in concept, they look kind of stupid, just going when those armies came to each other in the halfway point of the movie and they all started fighting each other, you just start seeing shields going it was kind of hard to see what was happening, and it looked kind of cheap. And I know that that's what they were going for. The shields like shake and vibrate whenever you hit them. Didn't like the look of the shields. I also have a question about the shields that they didn't really explain. I mean, they tried to, because they have these shields on their wrists. And sometimes you can penetrate them, but sometimes you can't. And I still don't understand when and why shields can penetrate and turn red, but sometimes they're blue and they don't penetrate. There's the scene where he puts the sword on him and it's blue, but he turns it and it turns red. And Jason Momoa says something about a slow blade or a dull blade can penetrate a shield, but then he's stabbing people and it's going through the shield and stabbing them, but sometimes they slash and it doesn't go through the shield. Still don't exactly know how the shields work. Maybe it's my fault, but I don't think the movie explained and illustrated how the shields work well enough. Maybe it's just me, but shields, action, it was all a bit inconsistent. You know, even though there's so much lore and so much dense content and information given to us, and I say that it needs 2 or 3 movies, I did feel the length at some points, the 2.5 hour runtime. I do feel like maybe they could have tightened it up at some points. It was about 10 to 15 minutes too long, and I did feel it at one point. It was really the section, the 10 to 15 minutes when Paul and his mom went off into the desert and they were trying to survive, and they were kind of just walking around and drinking their own sweat and talking and walking around some more and finding the desert people. Like, that was the only part where I was like, man, this is boring. I wasn't compelled by that part. So maybe you could take off 5 to 10 minutes. I don't know. It's not a huge negative, but I can understand if some people say it's too long and boring. And the number one problem with this movie, which you've heard everybody say, and when I think about it, if there are other movies coming out, it's not even really a negative, is that this is an unfinished story. This is a part one, clearly. It ends, and there is so much story left over. And I don't really know if it's a negative if we're clamoring for more story, but for now, with just one movie, this movie is not complete. It's more of a frustration than a negative, because if Dune 2 or Dune 2 and 3 come out, and if they do get to finish this story, this will not be a negative. But for now, in 2021, it's frustrating to have so many questions and unsatisfying story arcs. I really wanted to see Paul deal with the magnitude of the situation he was in. His father is now dead. His whole story has come to this point. Can I do it? Can I do it? Can I be the leader of House Atreides? Should I be? Can I be? Am I the one? Can I handle the responsibility? And his dad dies, the ring is sent to him, and then he just kind of walks off into the desert. He's a Fremen now. And he didn't really deal with the weight of the situation of, I am now the head of House Atreides. I'm sure it'll happen in the future, but it would have been nice to see him deal with that. Deal with his dad's death. Say goodbye. Some kind of finality or emotion in that part of the story would have done wonders. But to be fair, we might get it, so it might not be a negative. But for now, it was frustrating. Plus, I was wondering, did Josh Brolin live the battle? Who all survived? What's going on with that? Why is he walking with the Fremen? What's going to happen next? So many questions lingering that a part 2 will really help alleviate. And then one more thing. This was pissing me off to no end. I was saying, Paul, what are you doing? Why are you being such a fucking idiot? Why aren't you telling them? All through the movie, he's having these visions of the Fremen, the Sand People, Zendaya, this other guy, Javier Bardem. He sees Duncan with them. He sees himself with them, fighting with them. He realizes that some of his visions are true. He's realizing that his journey is leading to them. And he finally gets to them. And for like 10 minutes, when they're questioning what should they do with him, should they kill him and drink his water, he doesn't say a fucking word to them. He doesn't think one time to say, hey, I've been having these visions. Don't kill me. Guys, this is important. There's a war coming up. I'm having these visions that have coming true. I'm having these visions of you. I've been seeing you for weeks. I've never met you in my life, but I've seen you in my dreams, and now I'm here. This must mean something. Don't kill me. He's not saying anything about his dreams or any of it. He just sits there. Just sits there quiet for like 10 minutes, and I'm thinking, why aren't you speaking? Why aren't you saying anything? And then he duels the guy that he has the vision about. He has a vision about this guy who is like helping him like Yoda, training him. But then he kills the guy in a duel, so that's not gonna happen. So it makes me question, are his visions true? But wait, really? He had the vision about Jason Momoa dying and being on the ground. That happened. He had the vision about Zendaya and meeting her. That happened. But he had the vision about this guy training him. But that's not going to happen because he just killed this guy. Now I'm wondering, are his visions true? Are they false? Are some of them true? I don't know what the fuck's going on. But hey, that's part of the intrigue of it. I kind of like that I wasn't given everything. I wasn't spoon-fed every piece of information about every character and every race and every planet. They gave you room to think, to question, to theorize, to put clues together, and I like the story, man. I like the world, I like the characters, I like the score, the cinematography, the set designs, the CGI, the pacing of the movie, other than maybe the last 20 minutes. I really enjoyed most of this movie. Now, did I love it? No. But I really, really liked it. And I recommend that you watch it. I honestly can't rate it right now. I can't give it any pickles out of 10 because it's an unfinished story, and I'm still dealing with what I feel about it. Subjectively, I didn't love it. I really, really liked it. I really liked the high concept fantasy sci-fi elements, the dense story, all of it. I really liked it, didn't love it. But objectively, it's fantastic. It's amazingly well made. In almost every facet of storytelling and movie making, this movie is fantastic. But I just didn't love it. Really, really like this movie though. And I really hope that we get to see the story come to fruition. I'm saying it right now. I'm not saying this is a masterpiece, and I'm not saying that the second one couldn't be a bomb and not be as good, but if they nail the second part, I don't know how many parts they're doing, 2 or 3. If they nail the story, 1 and 2, or 1, 2, and 3, and make a solid story, A to B, and they finish out what they're doing here, and the next movie's just as good as this could go down as a Star Wars, a Lord of the Rings, a Blade Runner, as one of the best fantasy sci-fi movies ever. One of the best stories ever. I didn't love it that much, but I can step back and objectively say, yes, this is amazing storytelling. These are amazing characters. This is an amazingly fleshed out, beautiful world, and it could go down as an all-time great if they play their cards right. So, Dune? Yeah, thumbs up from me. So tell me, peasants, what did you think about Dune? Let me know in the comments. I want to hear it. I truly appreciate you watching this video. And until we meet again, peace!